Hello, 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 and welcome back to HunterTuned. Today we're going to be putting an LMR anti-roll bar into my Fox body. So this is my 89? I think it's an 89 or a 90. I just looked at the title the other day, and I still don't know the damn year of my own car. But it's a Fox body Mustang nonetheless, and we are going to be putting the LMR anti-roll bar kit in. This is $250 from LMR's website, and the bearings suck. So this is the driver's side plate that comes with the anti-roll bar. Let me slow down here a minute. I'll show you kind of what all comes with the kit. So this is pretty much all the components that come with the kit all laid out. And you can see that we have the anti-roll bar itself. This is going to go up in the frame above the rear end of the car. And then we have these little plates that get welded onto the frame, and then it has a bearing and a seal inside of or welded onto the plate here. So these things pretty much just go right on the end of the anti-roll bar. So yeah, as you guys can see, the bearing just kind of slides over the... Oh my God. This one's literally coming out of the housing. The bearing is coming out of the housing. So yeah, we'll push that back in so it doesn't pop out. But like I was saying, guys, the only thing that I don't like about this kit is the bearings are garbage. I don't know what's wrong with them, but this side, the driver's side, I actually had to pound it on with a hammer to get it to even fit over the anti-roll bar. As you guys can see, it still spins freely, but definitely a cause of concern. I even greased it and did everything that, you know, any normal person would do to a bearing that's not fitting properly. Sanded down the edge of the anti-roll bar, and still it just didn't want to slide on. And as you guys can see, this bearing, when I slid it on, it started sliding off or out of the housing. So that's kind of annoying, but we're going to send it. We're going to see how this little thing does, and if we don't like it, we can take it out. I'm just going to weld two corners of these onto the frame, so if I want to take it out, I can. But I do want to see if an anti-roll bar is going to help my 60-foot time, because currently the car, we just changed a turbo on it, and we're going to be putting a lot more power to the ground in the 60-foot than we have before. So anyways, other than the bar and the junk bearings, we have this Heim joint here. These are actually really nice Heim joints. I approve of these 100%. They feel really good. They give you little tabs to weld onto the rear end, and then they give you all the necessary hardware. Looks like grade 8 hardware. So that's pretty cool. And then the same on this side. This is the Heim joint for that. And clearly I am not sponsored by LMR or sponsored by anybody really, other than VS Racing, a little bit kind of sponsored. I kind of do my own stuff on the channel here, and I do my own testing on stuff and do my own research. So I just kind of relay what my experience is back to you guys, and I try to be as real as possible here on the HunterTuned YouTube channel. So anyways, we do have a water pump and timing belt coming for the H2B Honda that we were working on in the last video. But like I said, talked to Brent from PFI Speed, and he was telling me that the H23 water pump is slightly different than the H22. So I have an H22 pump coming along with a new timing belt, because this belt did get quite chewed because of the tensioner not sitting flat on the block.
Are you filming?
Yes, I am filming. Just wait, I'm going to be 2 seconds. We're going right under the car to work on it. She doesn't want to work today. Well, anyways, I don't have a hoist here, so we got to crawl under the car with the anti-roll bar and lift it kind of in position, and then I'm going to tack it and go from there. So anyways, one thing that you guys want to do when you install the anti-roll bar is you want to grind away on the frame where you're going to be welding. So if we can see here, right above the rear end, there's a spot right here where I ground away some metal. So we ground out there, and that's where we're going to be putting the plates. And you want to make sure that it's level. The anti-roll bar is straight across the rear end. You don't want it like cockeyed or anything like that. And the Fox body actually has a nice little lip right here off of the frame, there's a lip right here where my plates are going to butt up evenly on both sides. So this is equal on both sides, and we'll just be able to weld them against that little lip, and we should be good to go. Other suspension bits that are on my car that you guys maybe know about, maybe don't know about, is we put Viking double adjustables on it. We have stock coil springs with one coil cut. I have aftermarket lowers that go here. They're just like poly bushing. They're not Heim joint or anything like that. And then we have some aftermarket uppers as well. But other than that, it is a stock rear end. I know I'm about to give Steve in the comments a heart attack because I am still on the stock rear end from what I know. Actually, I have no idea if it's a stock rear end or if it's a built up rear end. I bought this car, it already had a lot of the suspension parts on it other than the shocks and springs. It had some lowering springs and some other good bits, but from my knowledge, I think it is a stock rear end, but it has held up for about 100 drag passes and multiple 1.4 60 foots, and has not shown any sign of weakness and has not shown any sign of, you know, anything going on. Usually when a rear end breaks, it just kind of breaks, but we're just going to keep running it and, you know, go until it breaks, I guess. I just don't want to mess with it because I feel like if you mess with something that's working good, it could possibly hinder you later. So, I mean, I feel like half the time I put a lot of money into something that breaks. So, the rear end's been working. Why fuck with it? Yeah, and then we run a 28 by 10.5 tire with Weld Racing wheels on this car. So, anyways, we're gonna lift the anti-roll up in there and weld it in. Alrighty, guys. So I was in a good mood, and now I'm not because this thing really made me angry. So I got the anti-roll bar installed into the car, and I'm going to show you guys kind of what we did, but holy shit, was this job a pain in the ass. Laying on your back on the ground, you can see like I'm freaking dirty as shit now, because I had to lay on the ground to fucking get under there to weld the bar. My girlfriend was nice enough to come out here and help me hold the bar in place while I kind of tacked it in, and then she got out of there and I was laying under there welding like upside down on the frame to get the bar welded onto the frame. And I didn't really film any of it because I just started swearing at this thing, just because it's just a pain in the ass to weld upside down crooked like that. It was a challenge for sure. But anyways, I'm gonna crawl under here again, show you guys what we got going on. So, Jesus Christ. That's about how my day's going. Okay, so here we are. The bar is installed, as you can see. We have the Heim joints that are welded down onto the rear end here, and we have these adjusted. So currently we have play on both. Those welds look like absolute donkey ass, but it ain't going nowhere. So, anywho, the welds look like garbage, but I definitely tested this thing to make sure it wasn't going to come apart. And half the time when these guys that make videos on how to install anti-roll bars, they just tack it in a couple spots and it's fine. So hopefully my welds don't look the greatest, but hopefully it holds up. And I definitely tried to goober it on as much as I could, but the frame I must not have ground down far enough. It was definitely some rusty metal yet. But anyways, we just got the tabs welded on the rear end here, and then the joints sit on there like so. So now what I did is I had my girlfriend sit in the passenger or in the driver's seat like I was sitting there, and you're supposed to adjust it so when there is weight in the car, so like if the driver is in the car, you're supposed to have a 1/4 inch of tension or a 1/4 turn of tension downward on this joint, the passenger side, the side that usually tweaks. And then this side, so the driver's side should have play when the driver is in there. So this one is currently tight, not tight, but like it's tighter than the other side because there's no driver in it right now. So anyways, I mean, can definitely move the whole damn car. So it is literally just a pain in the ass to lay under there like that. No fucking room at all because it's a spare tire well car yet. It still has a spare tire well, and there's just no room laying under there, as you guys can see. Just no room. I had it jacked up, but you're supposed to weld this stuff when the car is at weight, when it's sitting on the ground, how it normally would. So that's what I did, and it was just a pain in the ass. I don't recommend doing this without a lift. Like, this is one, I'd rather do a transmission on the ground than fucking this, because that's how much it sucked. Just welding upside down, and I burned myself in like 20 different spots. Oh, it sucked. But anyways, that's part of wrenching on cars. You get pissed off sometimes. So anyways, I'm going to take this thing off for a little rip and just kind of feel it out, see if the car feels any different. I'd rather have it, you know, I'd rather test it now rather than tomorrow at the track. Like, if I fucking dart off, let go of the trans brake and the thing goes straight to the wall or something like that, then I know obviously something's not right. So I'm just going to take it for a little rip down the road and maybe do a quick trans brake launch on the street and see how it is. Alright guys, so we ended up taking the car out, seeing how it was doing, and the anti-roll bar, to be completely honest, I can't really tell a difference. So obviously the track will tell, but just on the street and stuff, it's kind of hard to tell, like, if it's doing anything different or what have you. So, but I did notice another thing is this car really is fast, and I didn't film it, but the whole time when we were driving it, when I was filming, I was on a blacktop road, and this car doesn't really hook on blacktop. So I took it down the road a little farther on some concrete, and I gave it a hit in second gear from a roll. And the first time I actually got the car to hook with the new turbo, and it's boost creeping. So that's kind of weird. We've never had any creep with any turbo besides this one. So it's kind of weird that the 80 didn't creep, the billet 80 that I had on here, because it had a bigger hot side and a bigger exhaust wheel. But this one is creeping. The gate is like 10 pounds, and at like 7,000 or a little higher than 7,000, it's making 18. So it's kind of like a boost ramp. I don't know. I'm really probably just going to set it at 18 or 20 all the time, so the creep probably will go away at the higher boost, but we'll see what the track brings and all that. But yeah, so I'm going to head home in a minute and talk about some scoot stuff. We'll see if my welds broke first. They're still there. Bar's still there. Cool. Alright guys, see you in a minute. Alrighty guys, so we're back at the house now, and everything's making a little bit more sense why everything was going wrong tonight. I was trying to get the anti-roll bar installed, and I was welding, and the welder wasn't welding worth a crap, and normally my welder is like awesome, and I don't know if it's just because I didn't grind the metal down far enough or what. But like I said, I did weld it as best as I could, and I was like hanging on the anti-roll bar, pulling down as hard as I could to like make sure, you know, it wasn't going to break or nothing. And there's really not a lot of force that gets applied to it, I don't think, because it really just needs to hold the rear end, and a lot of the stress is on the heim joints, I think, mainly, not the bar that gets welded to the frame. And they even say in a lot of videos, like, they don't weld it all the way around. It's plenty strong just doing two corners. But anyways, everything's kind of making sense now because, well, I backed into the wall at the shop, which was because we had a car in the shop, and then I had to sneak around that car, and I backed into the wall on accident, and then the boost creep problem on the Mustang really isn't that big of a deal. But then I also had another problem with the car where it was misfiring, which I've had this problem with the Mustang forever. Forever and ever and ever, I've had this problem with the Mustang where ever since I had Mega Squirt on it, or I should say ever since it's had an LS motor, it's had this misfire, no matter what motor, no matter what coils, no matter what injectors I had in it. And I don't know if it's something to do with the tune or what it is, but like anything below quarter throttle, it just pops and clangs and jangs and bangs. Like it doesn't fucking run clean at quarter throttle. It runs perfect at idle, but if you try to like, when the motor is like cold, not fully warmed up, and you try to like rev it really fast, it almost detonates or something. It's just not happy, and it misfires when it's cold. When it's warmed up, the thing revs up perfectly and runs a lot better. But even at cruise, light throttle cruising, it will just kind of sit there and like it's like running on 5 cylinders. And then you get into the throttle a little bit more and it cleans right out. Like it comes right into boost, and it's been like that forever. And I haven't messed with it because I just always race the car, and I never really am below quarter throttle. I'm always either idling or to the wood. So, but that is one thing that's been of annoyance to me that I would like to get fixed or figure out. If anybody's got MS3 Gold Box or anything Mega Squirt related and wants to maybe help me out with it, I used to blame that misfire problem on the fact that I had a micro squirt, because that micro squirt setup could only do 2 injector outputs. It couldn't do 8 injector outputs like the MS3. So that's why I upgraded to the MS3, because it has the 8 injector firing and not just 2 injector firing, or 4. I forget how many injectors the micro can fire. It's either 2 or 4. And I always blamed it on that because, you know, it just made sense. And now switching to the MS3 does the same thing. So it's got to be something else tune related that I got to work out, or maybe I have a bad set of coils. I highly doubt I have a bad set of coils, because it hits on all 8 when you're in it. So yeah. But anyways, all this stuff, the bad luck I'm having tonight is making sense, because I found out that it's a full moon tonight. I was leaving the shop and the moon was just glistening. It was just sitting there wide open, and it's definitely a full moon. You can tell, because I have burns all over my hand and my back. I got a freaking weld burn on. And yeah, it just sucks, because when you're laying under there, all the sparks just drop right on you. And I was swearing, guys. I was swearing. But anyways, I did want to kind of give you guys some updates, because I had a great day today. Shitty night, but I had a great day. Just remember, guys, always listen to your gut. I was like, I don't think I want to put the anti-roll bar in tonight. And then I went and did it, and I'm regretting it, because it just didn't go how I wanted it to go. So always just listen to your gut. Whatever your gut tells you, go with it, because your gut is right. Not, at least my gut. My gut's always right. So, anyways. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the scooter quick. I got a clutch spring in the mail today, so we have all the jets. I got all my pilot jets here and the main jets, and a clutch spring for it. So we're going to be doing a lot of tuning on this thing in the near future. I was actually playing with it today, because this scooter stock ran like shit. And it only ran like shit when you were like quarter throttle. So I'm like, okay, maybe the pilot jet is too lean or too rich. And I pulled the pilot jet out of it and checked the chart that this little kit came with. And my scooter had a 58 pilot jet stock, which is super big. So I actually I took both the jet kits and I went right in the middle of both. So I put a 45 pilot in and a 120 main jet. So the jets on the main go from 100 to 140. I put a 120 main jet in it and a 45 pilot, and it runs way better. Now that the main jet is a little bit larger, though, it is choking on fuel if I slam the throttle really hard. And the in-between throttle transition is all in the needle height. So the carburetor, there's like a bunch of different ways that you need to tune carburetors. The pilot jet normally is just for like idle and, you know, the first like quarter throttle. And then anything after half throttle, like half throttle to wide open, is on the main jet and the needle. So there's a needle that goes through the jet. I'm going to go through a lot of this in a separate video, but there's a needle that goes through the main jet, and depending on how far the needle is stuck through the jet will determine how much fuel actually flows through the main jet. So when you tune the main jet, you want to make sure you're completely wide open. The needle has no effectiveness on the jet size. And this thing, when it's on the main jet, runs mint. Does 62 miles an hour with the stock motor so far. I want to do a little bit more tuning on it to see how much I can get out of the bone stock 150. And then we'll do the big bore, the cam, the clutch springs, the variator, and all that, and hopefully be able to do like 75 or 80 maybe, and have a lot of good hole shot power. That's my goal with the scooter. I got a bigger carb coming for it, intake manifold, some other things. So this thing's gonna be a rocket ship. But anyways, like I was saying with the needle, goes through the main jet, and then however much the needle is through the jet is going to determine your like half to 3/4 and all that. So you kind of just got to have a feel for it and an ear for it, and just know if the motor sounds happy or not, which I've tuned enough stuff in my day to know that kind of stuff. So it just comes with time. But yeah, super fun messing with the scooter earlier today. I'm actually going to go buy a headband. There's a guy that actually reached out to me and like recommended, I think it was maybe in the comments, recommended me to get a headband and wear my camera on my head whenever I'm wrenching on something. Then I don't have to stress as much about filming, and you guys can just see what I see. So I think that'd be a really cool thing to add into the channel here. So I'm gonna probably go get one of those tomorrow. And yeah, so anyways, the rest of the night I'm going to Christian's house. Christian hasn't been hanging out because he's been moving, and he's actually moving houses right now. So he's moving a bunch of stuff over, and I'm gonna go over there and check out his new place, and probably give him a hand moving over the weekend. So he's not fully moving until like Saturday, so he's just doing little stuff right now. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go over there, check out his new place, and have a fucking beer.